who's the greatest chess player of all time? You're probably shouting at the screen, it's Magnus Carlsen, it's Magnus Carlsen. But the answer isn't that simple. There are three main candidates. Number one is Magnus Carlsen, number two is Bobby Fischer, and number three is Garry Kasparov. Each one of them dominated chess at their time. But who's the best? Well, it depends on the way you interpret the question. If they all played together today, Magnus would probably win because of the technology we have today that allows him to practice better and more efficiently than the other candidates. And also of the amount of openings there are today and how easy it is to learn them. Like literally, just hop on YouTube. And I also have some opening videos, so go check them out. Anyways, they can't play together, so we need to revert to another method because it will only be fair if they can all use the same tools that we have today. But they can't. So the other method is that we're going to see how dominating they were at their respective time, because that will give us a basic understanding of how well and efficiently they practiced, which will allow us to roughly estimate which of them is the best player. So let's start with Magnus Carlsen. Currently, Magnus is one of the only two players who have a 2800 rating, and he has the higher one. And he almost even reached the 2900 rating over 10 years ago. So yeah. Anyways, Magnus is pretty far from other players, considering that only one person other than him has a rating of 2800. It's Hikaru, if you were wondering. But he isn't the highest rated player by a mile. Next is Bobby Fischer, whose peak was 2785, so close to 2800, but not quite there. But here's the thing. At the time, they were using a different rating system called CMR. So when we convert his rating, it would be approximately 2893 ELO. The next best player after Bobby Fischer was probably Boris Spassky, who had a peak rating of 2690 ELO, which means that Bobby Fischer was way ahead of his time, giving him an edge in this ranking. Now, last but not least was Garry Kasparov, who had a peak rating of 251 ELO. His best opponent was probably Anatoly Karpov, who had a FIDE rating of 2617, which meant that Garry too seemed leagues ahead of his time. Now this puts us in a dilemma, seeing as both Harry and Bobby, by the way, Harry is Garry if you're wondering, are very dominant, while Magnus Carlsen certainly still being dominant was pretty close to his opponent's levels. So, according to our tests, Garry Kasparov just edges over the rest of the candidates and is the GOAT of chess. Now keep in mind, these tests aren't scientific and aren't necessarily true, but this is our best guess. So you know the answer to, oh wait, this isn't a short.